You might already know a little bit about augmented reality, which overlays digital things on top of the real world. Microsoft's HoloLens was one example. Apple's been doing it with iPhones. Then most recently, Microsoft released HoloLens 2. Well, the Army is also focused on augmented reality, and it launched an IVAS system with Microsoft that's a modified HoloLens, and it stands for Integrated Visual Augmentation System. It allows soldiers to become more deadly on the battlefield and also helps train them ahead of time. And we got to check out the IVAS systems with Undersecretary of the Army Ryan McCarthy and Vice Chief of Staff of the Army General Jim McConville.
What we're doing with the synthetic training is a way to capture performance data so you can see the heart rate of the soldier when they went through the door, what was their marksmanship when they took shots in close quarter combat, and to help them refine and improve every evolution. And this is before they ever fired a round out of a weapon.
We weren't able to film the headsets, but I was able to try it on to see what the experience is like. In one example, I saw myself on a map with a visual indicator of exactly where I was inside of a building, and I could also see where my fellow squad members were or other people who were wearing the IVAS systems. And then if I looked up, I could see a compass showing exactly where I was and which way I needed to navigate if I had to walk somewhere. I also talked to elite soldiers from Special Forces who have been testing this for several weeks inside what they call shoot houses, where they run into rooms and try to clear them. You've probably heard of that. But with the goggles, they do this in augmented reality, so they're not shooting real bullets. And then at the end of the course, they get to see how well they shot and performed.
There's a lot of potential in this system. What we were told we were playing with was a very, very beginning type of system, early 5%-ish in terms of development. But even at that 5%, I think a lot of these soldiers here would agree that, even the Marines as well, that there's a lot of potential in the system. And again, we saw that with navigation capability, with thermal application, with training applications. So I think a lot of the guys were kind of encouraged by that.
The goggles also let you see things that weren't there before using thermal imaging. So things are much sharper than they are with something like night sight. IVAS can also be used to make soldiers more stealthy. Traditional night vision goggles emit a green glow, which means people can see soldiers even at night. But IVAS uses new white phosphorus technology, which means they can use thermal imaging without other people seeing them. So these IVAS goggles we saw today is part of what's called Army Futures Command, which makes it easier for tech companies like Microsoft to partner with the military and the Department of Defense. To be clear, the IVAS is still in really early development, so we weren't able to get our own footage. The Army provided us with only a couple of images, saying, quote, "The technologies being developed and tested are rapidly evolving."